All right. So Mikey Garcia says that he favors Jose Ramirez to beat Terence Bud Crawford. That is something. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, welterweight division is the topic of this video. And since there's not a lot of stuff going on in boxing, I'm going to talk about the weight classes that entertain me the most. And those are the heavyweight division, the lightweight division, the welterweight division, and the middleweight division. Not going to be a lot of videos about 110-pound fighters, in this particular time, because it's just not, generally speaking, is not very interesting. But one of the most interesting situations in boxing is what's going on with 140 and 147 pounds. One of the key players, or two of the key players in those weight divisions, are Jose Ramirez, who is one fight away from being an undisputed champion at 140. That could be the case if he's able to beat Victor Postol in the fight that they are trying to organize, and thereafter is able to get the fight with Josh Taylor, who is the WBA and the IBF 140-pound champion. If Jose Ramirez, who's the WBO and the WBC champion, is able to get through that fight, then he would be the undisputed 140-pound champion, a feat that was last accomplished by the other person that we're talking about in this video, which is Terence Crawford, who is now the WBO 147-pound champion, but was the undisputed 100 WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO 140-pound champion of the world, and is currently the #1 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. He's the #2 welterweight in my book, behind Errol Spence Jr., who's the unified champion and who has better wins at that particular division than Bud Crawford. And as a matchup between the two, I think offers some pretty unique style matchup problems for Terence Crawford. But that's why I have Terence Crawford as the #2 welterweight. And remember, welterweights are an actual weight class. It's not hypothetical. The pound for pound is hypothetical. Okay, so that's how I have it. Now, Jose Ramirez and Terence Crawford are both fighters for Top Rank. Actually, so is Josh Taylor at 140 pounds. But these guys are Top Rank fighters. Mikey Garcia, who was a PBC fighter who fought Terence Crawford in the amateurs, who is friends with Jose Ramirez, and I do believe I don't know, can you call him a stablemate if they're working out in the same gym, but they have different promotional arrangements? They work out together. I do believe that Robert Garcia works with Jose Ramirez, and they say they're good friends. But Mikey Garcia was giving his thoughts about Jose Ramirez versus Terence Crawford, and he had a really interesting point. Now, he mentioned that Jose Ramirez, he thinks that Jose Ramirez will beat Terence Crawford. And the reason that he said it was because, one, which is a real strike at the heart of Terence Crawford, and really the only valid, not I wouldn't say the only valid thing, because I think that Mikey Garcia is friends with Jose Ramirez, similar to like how he talks about what Leo Santa Cruz needs to do to beat Gervonta Davis and that type of thing. I think Mikey Garcia, is really riding with fellow Mexican fighters who he is associated with, which is not unreasonable, right? Now, what he says about Jose Ramirez is that the thing that was really a blow at Terence Crawford is the fact that he says that, Terence Crawford is a great fighter, has really great skills, but he's not very strong. He said he's not very strong, he's not very strong. And he hasn't fought anybody in a long time. Now, if he says Terence Crawford hasn't fought anybody in a long time, I don't know if he really means that Terence Crawford has ever fought anybody. I think that's what he's trying to be nice about it. But, the one thing that is, it's not exactly shiny on Terence Crawford's list is the people that he actually beat. Since, and definitely at 147 pounds. At 147 pounds with Jeff Horn, Jose Benavidez, Amir Khan, and who's the last guy that he beat? Green Beans, who dropped him, by the way. Or a lot of people say that he dropped him. I think that he got dropped. His hand hit the ground. Looked like a knockdown to me, but it was called a slip. But, you know, what Mikey Garcia is saying about that group of fights, yeah, I think he's got a good point. But he also follows up and says that he thinks that Jose Ramirez is Jose Ramirez is a huge 140 pounder, right? And which means, I mean, and he is. He's about 5'10". Can't recall what his reach is, but I know he's about 5'10", which makes him a little bit taller. I think he's a little taller, a little longer than Terence Crawford. But he said that he believes that Jose Ramirez is a stronger fighter and a stronger come forward fighter, a stronger fighter than Terence Crawford is, and somebody, you know, that really is aggressive and comes forward and will have the ability, you know, to stop the people that he fought. Now, he talked about Jose Ramirez. He thinks that Jose Ramirez has, I believe he said that he has the ability to stop Victor Postal, you know, because of his size and because of his strength, something that has not happened to Victor Postal. I think Victor Postal might have been knocked down one time in the fight that he had after he came back. He took some time off after the Terence Crawford loss. And then I think the first guy that he fought coming back knocked him down. But after that and before that, I don't really know of him being knocked down. But, you know, Jose Ramirez over Josh Taylor, over Victor Postal, I think is very much a given. But obviously, you know, Jose Ramirez has the fight with Postal and he has the fight with Josh Taylor before he comes to 147. But I do believe that when he comes to 147, like Jose Ramirez said, that he's probably going to be stronger at 147 pounds than he was at 140 pounds. Similar to the way that Terence Crawford was stronger at 140 pounds than he was at 135 pounds, because these guys really are, you know, shrinking themselves down to make that. Jose Ramirez at 5, I mean, think about how many 5'10", 147 pound men there are. You know what I mean? 5'10", 147 pounds, more likely not, dude. This guy is probably 140 pounds is worse, excuse me. Almost 6 feet tall, 140 pounds. Now, Jose Ramirez is probably weighing 155, you know, weighing between 150 to 155 when he's walking around. So when he comes into the 147 pound division, I think that he will probably be one of the top guys, but he'll be one of the top guys in the next wave of 147 pound fighters. The ones like when Josh Taylor comes up, he comes up. Regis Prograis, I think, eventually is going to come up to 147 pounds. But then you also have Virgil Ortiz, who's on the younger side. You've got Jaron Ennis, right? I think eventually guys like Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney are going to wind up being at 147 pounds too. So if there is a time that Jose Ramirez is going to have a lot of success at the 147 pound division, it's going to come after Errol Spence Jr. leaves the division, after Danny Garcia leaves the division, after Sean Porter leaves the division, Keith Thurman, after these guys leave the division either by going up or kind of, you know, tapering down their career. That's when a guy like Jose Ramirez is going to be able to come up in there and do something. I don't see Jose Ramirez being able to beat any of the champions. Well, maybe Manny Pacquiao, because I mean, just to be honest with you, I think Manny Pacquiao is living on borrowed time. With the exception of that, I don't see Jose Ramirez being able to beat these guys at 140, not the champions at 147. Now, as far as Terence Crawford himself and what the fight between Jose Ramirez and Terence Crawford, Terence Crawford is going to beat the brakes off of Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez does not have, Jose Ramirez is a come forward fighter. I do believe he can also box and fight on the back foot as well. I do believe that he'll have some success with Terence Crawford in the earlier rounds, but I think eventually Terence Crawford is going to fight. He's going to outbox him, learn his patterns, and eventually start really picking this dude off. And I don't believe that Jose Ramirez has the power that Terence Crawford has. Now, Mikey Garcia believes that Jose Ramirez has a lot of pop, right? And you have seen him, pull some knockouts out as of late. But I don't know if that's the level of competition or real. I'm not sure with that. I'm not sure, but I know that Terence Crawford has very, very real power. And I think he has got faster hands. I think that he's got better movement. And is probably just a little bit smarter, as a smarter fighter than Jose Ramirez, and it'll beat Jose Ramirez. But doing so, to the point that Mikey Garcia makes, if he did do that, if he did beat Jose Ramirez, at this point, Jose Ramirez really might be the most difficult fight that Terence Crawford has ever had. Because I don't think any of those guys that Terence Crawford has fought has been on the level of Jose Ramirez. Now, the flip side of that, though, is from Mikey's point of view, is that the same thing applies to Jose Ramirez. You can't say that, I'll put it this way. What's his name? Felix Diaz is closer to Jose Ramirez than Amir Imam or Maurice Hooker, Amir Imam or Maurice Hooker is to Terence Crawford. But I gotta hand it to Jose Ramirez for fighting those styles of fighters. He gets the win. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. Can Jose Ramirez really beat Terence Crawford? Leave your comment in the comment section. Also, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Much love to everybody that supports the channel on a regular basis through the many different ways that you can. And with that, we out. Peace.